motivational speaker, not as a person to teach anybody about their religion, because I'm sure you brothers can teach me about the religion of Islam. I'm just here to tell my life, and hopefully it can be a reminder to myself and also the brothers that maybe not make the same mistakes that I've done in my life. I was born in New Jersey to an African-American father, Puerto Rican, and Cuban mother. Both of my parents, alhamdulillah, they converted to the religion of Islam. At the age of 3, my mother and father got murdered in front of me. From the death of my parents, me and my 2 brothers, we moved in a home with my grandparents. Growing up in my grandmother's neighborhood was one of them environments that we eventually started to get ourselves in some trouble. So one day I got myself into some trouble and I decided to figure another way to make it out of the hood, and that's how I turned to writing raps. Me turning to writing raps eventually led to me meeting an individual by the name of Tupac Shakur. He put me in a rap group called The Outlaws. From that day on, I was able to attain a certain type of success that most of the youngsters might look their eyes upon and think that it's something to get involved in. When I left New Jersey, I told myself that I want to get into the music business, and I can't wait till the day that I get the houses, the cars, the money, the jewelry. And to believe it or not, that day came. At one point in my life, I had 3 brand new houses. I had jewelry, I had fame, I had cars. I had hundreds of thousands in my bank account. Whatever I want, I was able to buy. I was able to use my bank card non-stop. I never had to worry about going to the bank, whatever. I was able to purchase whatever I wanted. But I noticed when I was at this state of my life, believe it or not, one thing that I was fighting that I couldn't ignore is that I wasn't happy. Many of the people, unfortunately, you live in a time where many of the people, they believe that the ultimate happiness comes from money, or comes from jewelry, or comes from a house, to the point that you got even the Muslims, they sacrifice their religion just to attain some type of worldly pleasures. They will sacrifice their religion just to attain some type of money that as soon as you spend it, the money is gone. They sacrifice their religion just to attain something in this world that eventually had to perish. So when I got to this point of my life and I noticed that I was depressed, I said, wait a minute, man, there has to be something else that's going to bring me some type of happiness. Because I was once that kid that believed the only way you're going to be happy is when you have a whole lot of money in your bank account. And if this was also true, then how come you have millionaires committing suicide? So this will let you know that this is false. So eventually, I got invited to the mosque by a brother who gave me literature of the religion of Islam, and he gave me the English translation of the Holy Quran. I decided to take the book home and I started to read the book. And coming from my background as a writer, and I was around people like Tupac Shakur, and Pac was a genius when it comes to writing poetry. But the first time that I read the Quran in English translation only, I knew for a fact that this book cannot be written by a man. I know the capabilities of what a man can write because Tupac was a genius when it came to writing. Everything that I was looking for in my life, the Quran had the answer to it. I used to contemplate, how come I'm depressed? How come I'm not happy? How come I get happy, I get a check of money, I cash my check, I spend my money, I'm back depressed. I do, whatever I attain some type of happiness, it was only temporary happiness. Allah says in the Quran, truly the hearts find tranquility in the remembrance of Allah. When I read that, I knew that this was a haq. I said, no way that a man could come up with these words. I used to wonder how everybody around me is dying. I used to wonder how come my mother and father died when I was only 3 years old. How come Tupac died? How come Gaddafi died? How come I had a brother that committed suicide? Allah says in the Quran, every soul shall taste death. Eventually, the more that I read about this religion, alhamdulillah, I knew for a fact that this is from the creator of the heavens and the earth. I was able to accept the religion of Islam, alhamdulillah, and eventually I was able to retire from the music industry. And one of the things I do now is travel the world as a motivational speaker. One of the things that's bothering me is because traveling to different parts of the world, I noticed that something plagued the Muslim Ummah. Not only did something plague the Muslim Ummah, it plagued the generation, and next, the future of the Muslims are the youth. The young Muslims, unfortunately, in every country you can think of, in every Muslim country and non-Muslim country the Muslims are living, the youth is running away from their religion of Islam, and they running towards a life that's calling them to the hellfire. The same life that myself, by the permission of Allah, was able to run away